Hello, it's the 13th of May, I think. Yep, 13th of May. This is class 11 and it's lying down class today. So make sure you've got all your space, a bit more space probably than when you were doing the standing up. Check all directions, sitting up, lying down. We're going to do some seated work if you want to. So you might want a cushion or a block if you've got one, something a bit more comfortable to sit on rather than sitting on the floor. You might want another cushion for your head, rolled up towel just to pad out around your neck when we're lying down if you want to. Make sure it's the right temperature in the room. You don't want it cold, but you don't want it too hot. Put the pets away. Benny is on the sofa and he's promised to stay there, so if you hear any odd rumblings, it won't be my stomach, probably, it'll be Benny. So we're going to start lying down. Do not adjust your set, this is the colour of my shirt. So we're going to start lying down on your mats. Block under your head if you want to. Shoulders relaxed, legs bent or straight, whatever suits you, and just give your back a little bit of time to get used to this posture. So if you do feel a bit arched in the neck, then you want something under your head, so you've got a nice long neck there. If you're feeling uncomfortable in the back, then you might find having your knees bent just supports your back a little bit more. You can always put something under your lower back if you find that more comfortable, or under your bum. Relax the shoulders and breathe. Just allow yourself a minute or two just to focus on your body, because for this class you really need to focus on you and how your body's moving, so everything else needs to be put away for a minute or two. You haven't got to do the whole hour in one go, you can split it up. Okay, so we're going to start to move and turn your head from side to side. It's just a nice bit of pressure on the back of the head. Check the shoulders are comfortable and the arms are just soft on the mat. Remember, you can keep your head to one side for a breath or two once that feels a nice stretch on the side of your neck. Check your brow, muscles across the forehead are relaxed, around the eyes, around the jaw. Then bring your head back to centre and start on the shoulders. So I'm just going to start on my left arm because it's the one closest to you. Start on whichever one you fancy. Just bend the arm, rest the hand on the shoulder if you want to, and circle it around. And with all these moves, I try and build them up, so we all start at a slightly easier option, and then you've got the choice to move up. Some days you'll want to, some you won't. So listen to your body. Okay, now we're going to reverse the circle. Remember, I can't see you, so go with what your body's telling you as much as what I'm telling you, because you've got to live with that body, I haven't. If the shoulder feels okay, you can then do it with a straighter arm, so you're making the circle bigger. Switch the abdominals on a little bit, so squeeze your belly in a little bit just to keep you nice and steady on the floor, so your whole body's not moving, just your arm. And again, you can reverse that circle if you want, just mobilising through the shoulder. And when that arm's had enough, you just move to the other one. Again, start bent arm. The reason we start bent arm is because it's lighter. It's a little bit easier. So if the shoulder's a bit tight, you're just giving it more time to warm up. So listen, do as many reps as your shoulder needs. Reverse circle when you're ready. In your warm up, you don't want to get to that stage where your muscles feel that they're tiring. That's too far. So it just feels that somebody's give you a squirt with some WD-40, and then you know you're ready to move to a slightly more challenging move. So with more challenging stretches, the straighter arm. So with the arm straighter, it's heavier, which means more muscles have to be recruited to move it. So you're warming more muscles up. And again, you can reverse that circle if you want to. And then you can do both arms together. So before we start to move, squeeze the centre a little bit as if you're expecting to be punched in the belly, just to stop the ribcage flaring up. And then let the arms start to pull back and around. So a little squeeze of the centre, just to keep the ribcage neutral, so it's not over lifting. We don't want to work the back muscles just yet, just isolating into the shoulders. Nice big sweeping circles if you've got the space. Stay with the bent arm or go back to the bent arm if this feels a bit much. Opening out. Reverse the circle if it suits your shoulders. Couple more. Then we're just going to work into the rotator cuff a little bit more. So put your elbows on the floor out to side and have your fingers facing up to the ceiling. Now we'll start with just one arm so you can focus, and you can turn your head and look at that arm if you want. So you're going to move the hand backwards and forward, pivoting on the elbow. Right. You haven't got to touch the floor. I know it's tempting to just let your fingers drop down to touch the floor, but as soon as you do that, your brain thinks, right, stretch finished, and it switches off. If you keep your hand flat, your brain is still active and you're still working on that stretch. And then you can move to the other arm. I'm going to stay facing the camera because it feels rude to turn my head away when I'm talking to you. But you can turn and watch this arm if you want to. You're going to have quite a difference in your arms. You're going to have one arm that's got more mobility than the other. That's why we're left and right-handed. That's how we are. But don't force it. And then you've got a choice of doing both together if you want to. Then you'll really notice the difference. If you're coming out of an injury, you might find that it takes a lot longer to warm an injured side up because you've got all that scar tissue to work through. So always if you're coming out of an injury, don't work into pain and just give that side a little bit longer to warm up. Looking into the mobility in the rotation of your shoulder. Then we've got a little bit of twisting. So arms out to the side. Knees and feet together. Cushion between your knees if you want. And then you're going to twist. Take the legs over to one side. Again, turn your head. I'm going to turn my head away from you. Apologies. And to centre and the other way. Keeping your shoulders flat to the floor. If you are feeling comfortable in the groin, remember just let the top knee lift slightly or put a cushion between your knees just for some stability around the hip. And just getting that nice rotational stretch. Again, when this feels easier, if you want to, you can stay in that stretch for a breath or two. Let your body relax into the stretch. You're not forcing it. Over and breathe. And we can develop this one just by straightening the top leg and pushing away. Turning your head and looking away encourages the opposite shoulders to stay down. Pushing through. So trying to get this hip to come over a little bit more, but not the shoulder. One more. And then into the lower back, where we hold a lot of tightness, a lot of compression down in our bottom of the spine. So if you're comfortable with your feet off the floor, bring your knees in. Hands can go around the front or back, but let the legs come in first and then cradle them, rather than yanking and pulling them in. So find a stretch that suits you. Remember, if you're not comfortable with your feet off the floor, then you can just let the pelvis just tilt backwards and forwards. So rocking and loosening it up. But feet into the chest, knees into the chest if you can, not the feet. Do yourself an injury if you bring your feet into your chest, just your knees. Arms around the front or back of the legs. It just allows the lower back to stretch out. Reset the head. If your neck feels again that it's arched and tensed, lift and put your head back down. Maybe readjust your cushion under your head. Relax the shoulders. And again, breathe. Just give your back just a few seconds just to relax into your mat. Relax the leg muscles, they might have tensed a little bit, so let them soften. Just using your arms just to support the weight of the legs. And then we can move around a little bit if you want to. If you're happy lying still, then just lie still. If you want to move around, just doing a little bit of a circle. massaging that tightness away. Arms shouldn't feel that they're forcing the legs around. Remember, arms are always the support. They're not the active bit of the move. That's the abdominals and the leg muscles doing the work. The arms are just supporting. And you go forward and back if you want to. Find those tight spots at the bottom of the spine and massage that tension away. If you find your neck tenses, you might find that you're happier just to let your head lift a little bit. As long as it's not straining your neck, if that suits your back better, then that's fine. Whatever suits you. Then we're going to get into the legs a little bit. So feet on the floor to start with. I'm going to change this one just slightly. I'm going to bring the arms in as well. We'll be alright. So you're going to start off, find your neutral. So lift and reset your hips. So you've got a comfortable arch at the back, straight line down the front, and then just squeeze a little bit in the centre. Just ready for somebody to come and give you a punch in the belly. Keeping your hips still, you're going to slide your right foot along the floor. And then you're going to bend it and slide it back in. This is where you might lose your socks. And slide your left foot along the floor. Pelvis is staying still, so if you feel that your hips are moving around, squeeze those centre muscles a little bit tighter and keep the weight on the pelvis just above the tailbone on that sacrum. Okay. Then we're going to add a little bit of an ankle rotation, so as the leg straightens, you're going to circle your foot a couple of times. So we're bringing the hips, knees and ankles in together. And then it's going to get really exciting. So as the leg straightens out, the opposite arm straightens back, keeping the rib cage down. And then you can circle your hand and your foot. Oh no, both directions. It's like carnival time, isn't it? And then bring them back in, same on the other side. So straighten the leg and the arm. Squeeze the ribs and hips together. Circle the arm, the hand. I'm getting all excited. Circle the hand and the foot. Don't tell me I should get out more because I'm not allowed, okay? Back in. Everybody else's, I've got to stop in, been told. Circle your hand and your foot. Bit of coordination needed, clearly. Yes. One more. Just getting the blood moving. You can stay with these. Sliding your leg along the floor is getting your hips, knees and ankles working, getting your shoulder and your wrist and your hands working without putting too much weight. Otherwise, you can start to kick upwards. Don't expect necessarily the leg to straighten. I mean, what time is it now? It's 4:30, so I've moved around a fair bit today. If you're doing this in the morning, then your body's not going to have... You're going to be a bit dehydrated anyway in the morning. You haven't had time to drink very much after a night's sleeping. So you're always going to be a little bit stiffer in the morning anyway. And you haven't moved around very much. So depending on the time of day you do exercises makes a difference to your flexibility as well. It's kicking up. You can add your little ankle rotation on if you want. Try and push up though, as if you're pushing the ceiling away rather than the wall, because that's not going to stretch the legs really. So even if your leg's not straightening, don't worry about it. Give you a chance to check your socks. They're still on. Pushing up. Start to use your leg muscles a little bit more if you want to. So when you kick up, you squeeze the front thigh muscles and you'll find the leg comes a little bit closer to you and you'll feel that stretch down the back of the leg. So you kick up and you squeeze these front thigh muscles a little bit. Check you're not actually just pushing with the other foot instead. So when these front thigh muscles here contract, you're going to get more stretch on the back. And if you like having your feet in the air, you can come to your happy baby. So just have your knees a little bit wider, about shoulder width, hold on the back of the thighs and draw the knees in. And remember, let the knees come in rather than yank on them. And you can stay here or you can start to do your leg stretching. Always worth doing one at a time to start with a new move. And then if that feels alright, and do both together. Remember, anybody in the room who is not doing the exercises is not allowed to laugh or make comments. And then you can hold that stretch, you can hold your calves, you can hold your toes, you can hold just at the back of the knee and keep the legs bent if you want to. Whatever feels like a nice stretch. It helps you get rid of all that tightness in the back of in the bottom of the spine. Breathe. Use the front thigh muscles a little bit again, squeeze them. That'll bring the legs a little bit closer. Those of you unfortunate enough to have adult length legs, it's quite difficult to hold on to your legs when they're longer. So squeeze the front thigh muscles, that'll bring them closer. And then put your feet back down. Quick stretch for the hips. Anybody with hip replacement, then go back to the supine twist that we did before. It just supports the hips. The rest of you, feet apart, to the edge of your mat if you can. Legging adjustment required, possibly. And then you're going to go like windscreen wipers. So you're going to let your legs rock and your feet rock. I don't recommend this for hip replacement because you're coming quite a way inwards and you're putting more pressure on that joint. So it's always best, just to be safe, just to stay with your knees together. But the rest of you, you can let the knees separate and you're getting some internal rotation in that hip. It's quite a nice stretch. Again, listen to your body. Go as far as the stretch wants to go. You can always stay there, get to your stretch point, stay there and breathe. And that will help you develop your stretch rather than trying to force past where your body wants you to stretch to. And then we're going to do some sitting up work. So you can put your hands underneath you and push yourself up to sitting. I prefer to fidget across to one side of the mat, roll onto your side and push up from there. Tiny up, whatever works for you. Remember, sitting, if you've got any lower back issues or you're very tight in the hamstrings, and sitting can be quite awkward. You tend to be sitting in this shape, which doesn't encourage you to do much moving. So sit on a block, so you're sitting yourself up a bit higher. Roll your mat up might be all you need. If you can't get comfortable sitting, there is no point being here. You're just going to get grumpy and uncomfortable. So your option is to kneel up here, which will keep the spine long for you and take some of the pressure out of the hips and the lower back, or stand up. You can do them standing up if you prefer. So don't force yourself to just sit just because Sharon says we're sitting. We're going to start off with some twisting. I'm just going to retie my hair. Is anybody else praying that hairdressers come back soon? We're all going to look like we fell out in the 70s. Right then, I have to tie my hair up, otherwise I will be getting the scissors to it, so it's got to stay tied up. So sitting, once you're comfortable, make sure your sitting bones are directly underneath you and lengthen the spine. You might want to start with your hands just supporting you behind to start with, while your back gets used to it. Zip the abdominals tight. And when you're sitting, it's more like you're pulling up from underneath. You might be more comfortable with your knees bent or your ankles crossed. That can help pull your weight forward a little bit. So find your sitting position and you can vary it as we go. So we're going to start with a bit of twisting. So you've got one hand behind you and you're going to turn your torso in that direction. But your hips are staying square to the floor. And then you come back to centre and you do the same the other way. So your torso is rotating, but your hips and legs are not. Hand behind you is just giving you a little bit of support. Keep reaching your head for the ceiling. You want to keep growing tall through the spine. Have a quick check of your feet, because if your feet are pedalling, that means as your shoulder moves, then so is your hip. And there's no spine rotation. So keep your hips still and move your chest, move your shoulders, so you're presenting your chest to that side of the room. That's it. Keep reaching through your head. Now, if you want to work a bit more on your neck, I'll do it the other way in a sec. I'm going to work a little bit more for your neck. Rotate in the direction and then turn your head and look over your shoulder. So a little bit more neck rotation. And then same other side. So you rotate your torso towards the one side and then you turn your head and look over your shoulder. Just to give you a little bit more neck mobility. As all of them, if it doesn't suit you, don't do it. This gives you Keeps you in that stretch a little bit longer as well, and you're turning your head to allow your body to just get used to the stretch. Keep sitting up nice and tall. Right, have a quick rest. Then we're going to work the front and back, which get very tight. So kind of our seated cat and cow. Remember, if you're not comfortable sitting, kneel, come onto your hands and knees, or stand up for this move. But yeah, hold on to the back of your legs to start with. Tuck your chin in and curl into a ball. So you're feeling that stretch through your back. You're making a kind of a C shape. And then pull yourself up straight and puff your chest out. If you're comfortable doing so, you can let your chin lift. And then you curl in. So you pull your belly button to spine, tuck into a ball. So you feel it roll slightly on your tailbone, making a bit of a C shape. And then pull yourself up, puff your chest out, pull your shoulders back, and if it suits you, lift your chin. Curling in, squidging in, stretching up. Now again, stay with this. Holding onto the legs just supports your weight, so you're not putting too much weight through your spine. So stay with this if it's the right work for you. If you want to develop the stretch, I wouldn't take this stretch any further. Anybody with any osteoporosis in the spine, I wouldn't take it any further. So hold onto the legs, support your weight. The rest of you, if you want to develop it, as you start to curl into a ball, you reach forward with your hands as if somebody's pulling your hands forward. And you're going to get more stretch across your back. And then you pull yourself up. And as your chest pushes forward, you rest on your fingers behind you and puff your chest out. So you're just making the move a little bit bigger. So as you curl into a ball, reach forward with your hands as if somebody's pulling your hands away. Opening up across the back of your shoulders, tucking your chin in, and then pull yourself back up. Take your hands behind you, pull your shoulders back and down, and puff your chest out. Again, letting the head, letting the chin lift if that suits you. Yeah. So we're starting to be aware of the front and back of the body working. I'm going to do one more. Curl into a ball, reach forward with the arms at the same time. Pull up and stretch. Good. Then we're going to get into the legs. So legs out in front. If you're prone to cramp, then take this one steady because you're going to really use these leg muscles, and if they're not used to it, they will cramp. You can have one leg bent if you want. Sit up nice and straight. I would put the hand at the back of the leg rather than round the knee because it puts more pressure on the knee. Otherwise, both legs straight and just rest on your with your fingers behind you. Straight line through the spine, zip the belly and lift your foot off the floor. Alternating to start with. Don't expect the leg to lift very high because these front thigh muscles are doing all the work and it's quite intense. What I don't want is just a little lean back because that is a cheat. You'll know it because these leg muscles are doing nothing and the leg feels really light. When you're doing it correctly, the leg feels really heavy. So you can stay with alternating. You can try doing it without holding on behind you. Really make these legs work. Zip up tight. Use the thigh muscles. But if you want to make the move a little bit more intense, try and do 5 repeaters. So you're making this leg work over and over again, and it's going to fatigue. And then do your other leg. Lift it. Keep lifting through your head. If you're feeling particularly on it today, you can lift it and do a little circle. Hip replacements, no, but otherwise lift it and circle. Then you're going to really hate me. Sit up through the spine, lift and circle. You're welcome. I'm starting to sweat. Keep sitting up. You're just trying to get these thigh muscles really working all around this hip. Keep sitting up. It's good for your strength in your lower back as well. The fact that you're not lolling back here as you do it. When you've had enough, give the legs a bit of a rub. Then we've got our leg pull front to do, which will stretch these out and work the back. Hands behind you. Remember, I'll show it you just to remind you what you got coming. So you're going to pull your shoulders back, squeeze your butt muscles, push down through your hands and feet together to lift your hips. So you come into a table position. Check the knees don't drift out, so squeeze through the legs and the bum muscles and down. If you've looked at that and thought, Sharon, really? Go back to what we've done before. We've done a bit of twisting. We've done a bit of stretching. We've done a bit of leg work. So repeat those if you want to, or just have a rest. Otherwise, hands face whichever way suits your shoulders. A bit of trial and error first to make sure you've got your shoulders supported. So you might find that first your hands aren't quite in the right position. So little lift to start with. So spread your toes, pull your shoulders back, puff your chest out, clench your bump muscles. That does not mean dropping back, clench them. Push through your hands and feet together and lift and stretch. Check the knees aren't going wider than the hips. Push down through the heels of your hands and sit down. Do it again when you're ready. Pull the shoulders back and down, clench the butt, push through the feet and the hands together and lift. If you push through your feet more than your hands, you will get cramp. Heels of the hands pushing down, shoulders back and down, squeezing the butt and lifting the hips. Good. One more. Pull back and down, press through the feet and the heels of the hands and lift. Push the knees away, lift the torso. Back down. And the arms forwards, have a quick rest. You've got a choice then of repeating that again, the bent leg, do another 3, or moving it onto a front plank. For that, hands exactly where they were, one leg bent, one leg straight. The bent leg is your push. The straight leg just rest on your heel. So you pull the shoulders back, you push through this bent leg, push down through the heels of your hands and lift. And push that front knee away. And down. Do a couple and then change legs, or change legs on each one. Whatever suits you. Pull back and lift. Really try and stretch through this straight leg, right the way through to your heel. Stay with that option, or both legs straight if you want to, so you haven't got that push. So you pull your shoulders back, your arms are going to do a lot more work now. Lift, push through the heels of those hands, squeeze your butt, gently point your toes, lengthen through the front of the legs. And down. It's no good screaming at me, I can't hear you. Pull back, squeeze the butt, stop if you need to, go back to one of the other options, lift those hips. Push through the heels of your hands. We're going to do one more. Pull back, keep the chest lifted, lift. Push the heels of the hands down, stretch that body. And sit down, bend the knees, give yourself a hug. Ah, good. Right, then we've got our chest opener. You knew it, chest opener had to follow something horrible like that. So if you go onto your side, you might want your cushion underneath your head, you might want a rolled up towel just to support your neck. You might be okay just using your arm. Whatever feels right for this bottom shoulder. You don't want it feeling like it's up round your ear and making your neck feel uncomfortable. So knees bent, one leg in front of the other if you prefer, cushion under the knee if you want to. Arm out in front, roll the shoulder back and down so you're not overreaching. Pull the rib cage up, zip the abdominals. Lift the arm up to the ceiling. We aren't reaching back yet, we're just reaching up to the ceiling. Then we're going to reach back. Twist, press the knees down onto the floor for stability and reach back with your arm. Turn your head if you want to. Keep looking forward if that suits you better. Bring your hand back up to the ceiling. We're not going to just drop it. We're going to keep the rib cage lifted. Reach up for the ceiling. Then we're going to lower. And we're going to push the air down into the floor. And do it again. I'm going to reach up. Stack the shoulders. Draw the rib cage. Lengthen the spine. Get ready to press into the legs for stability as the arm travels back. Head is supported. Reaching back. Rather than trying to grope for the floor, reaching, opening the torso towards the ceiling. Back to the ceiling. Stack the shoulders. Draw the rib cage up. and then pushing the air down into the floor. Do it again. Reach. Stack the shoulders, lengthen the spine. Start to push down through the legs as we reach back. So if your knees feel a bit sore, try one leg in front of the other, which will give you more stability without you having to push down on your knees. Up and down. Good. One more. Reach up. Spine is stacked and long, abdominals tight, and then reach. Up to the ceiling and down. Good. A little bit of mobility around the hip with our hip opener. You want your legs in sort of a V shape now, so heels about level with your bum. Not too close with those heels because you can't move your legs if you're all bunched up. Rib cage lifted, and then you lift and lower the knee. Using your bum muscles to lift the leg rather than just letting yourself drop back. So if you've got the wall just behind you, you can just rest your hip against the wall, and that will really discipline you to make you do it properly. Lift that knee. Rib cage pulled up, spine long. Some people prefer to do this one with their feet up. So you can try that if you want to. See if that gets you a little bit more movement. It's all doing the same thing. We're trying to build up strength around this hip. Very useful, very good mover if you get clicky hips. You're just building up the support around the hip to stop that click, or minimise it anyway. Mind your feet. Sometimes we point the toes down without realising it, and then we'll do we've got cramp in the foot. So relax the foot. And like lifting the knee. Lift it and hold it for a breath in and out. And you feel these bum muscles working. Lift and hold. Really wake up the side leg muscles. Good. So when you lift and hold, I want you to imagine somebody trying to push your leg back down again. So you're resisting that leg dropping. And do one more. Lift it and hold, and imagine somebody trying to push it down and you're resisting, pushing back. Good. And then put that leg down, just give it a rub. Lovely, that really isolated in there. But what about the rest of the leg? Yeah, see? Bring your legs into your 90 degree now. Rib cage lifted, hips stacked. Check that you haven't dropped down into your ribs with this one. So you want a nice gap between your rib and your hip on that top side. Reset your shoulders, pull the rib cage up and lift the top leg to about hip height. Try and square the shin. And again, imagine somebody trying to push the leg back down and you're holding that leg up for about 5 seconds. And then lower. Things to watch for on this one is dropping back or lifting the foot and not the knee. So you're trying to line it up. And as you're resisting the leg dropping. So imagine somebody pushing down on your leg and you not letting them. You can put your hand on your leg, don't push, just rest your hand on your leg, kind of gets your brain to feel that your body wants that leg to drop and you're not going to let it. Lengthen the spine, lift it, the leg, not the spine, just to be clear. I think I've moved on. And just keep that leg from dropping down. And you're working, activating all down the side of the leg. Hopefully you can feel it. Lift it. Bottom leg is going to be working as well because that's going to be pushing into the floor to help. And give it a rub. Good work. Right, so now we're going to work the arm and the legs and the obliques together with our side plank. So up you come. Any shoulder injuries, then I wouldn't recommend side plank because you put a lot of weight in the shoulder. So the move we're going to do is this one. We're going to come up to a side plank. If you think, no, my shoulder's not up to that, thank you. Up onto your knees and sway. Either with your arms down by your sides or your arms by your ears. So that will work the obliques without the strain in the shoulder. But otherwise, hand underneath the shoulder, leg bent into about 90 degrees, the bottom leg, and top leg straight. Square the hips, so you're sitting on the side of your bottom hip, not back on your bum. Look forward, set the shoulders and raise the top arm. And stay here if you want to. Otherwise, a little bit of pressure through the legs and the supporting arm and lift the hip. Lengthen through the spine and lower the hip back down. Lift. Squeeze the waist, push the floor away with the heel of your hand and down. If you can do more, or you want to do more, and you can do more, come up to your bridge, pull the waist in, squeeze the bum and lift the top leg. Not too high. Hold it for about 5 seconds and sit down. Lift up first, pull the waist in, clench the butt muscles and lift the leg. Down, one more. Always do more if you want to, don't let me stop you. Technique though, I don't care how many you do, I want to know how well you do them. Good. Lovely. Then we're just going to flip over and do the other side. So I'm just going to turn over and we'll do it all again. It's the trouble with the side work, isn't it? You know what's coming now. So lying down, get your shoulders comfy, support your head, get your knees bent, one leg in front if that suits you better. Arm out in front, reset the shoulders back and down. I don't want you to overreach and round the spine. Rib cage lifted, lift. Use this to really get some strength around that shoulder, so you're not in a rush to lean back. When you do lean back, it's a twist, so you're pushing down through the knees, opening the torso to the ceiling and down. I get disappointed when I see people trying to touch the floor. It means I haven't explained it properly. This is rotation. So you're lifting the arm up to the ceiling, drawing the rib cage up, and you're opening. So as that shoulder moves back and the hip doesn't, nice stretch around this side. Back to the ceiling and down. So we are relying on the legs for a lot of stability here. So if your knees don't like it, one leg in front, cushion under that top knee if you want to, will just give you an extra bit of support. So you're still going to get the stretch without the pressure on the knee. Same with the hip, if you're feeling it in the back of your hip, you might find that split stance more comfortable. Reaching out. Keep looking forward if that suits your neck better, you're still going to get the stretch. You can do one more. And reach up. Square up the rib cage so you're not drop down in on yourself, and then twist. Come back to ceiling and pushing down. And then we've got the hips. Grab a drink if you want to. I'm just rabbing on that, Joe. If you need to stop and have a drink, then do so. Heel level with your bum, V shape, rib cage lifted, abdominals tight, and you lift your knee. Remember, you're not going to be the same on both sides, so this might be your tighter side. So don't force it. It might be your better side, you might be happily surprised, but it might not be. And you're trying to activate the bum muscles in particular, but also some of the leg. You might find you prefer to have the knees lifted. Sometimes that just gives people more mobility and they can get a little bit deeper into the muscles. So whichever suits you. Sorry, Benny, hear him sighing, he's not happy. I keep waking him up. You can lift and hold that knee up, just relax the foot, and imagine somebody trying to push it back down again, and that will activate these leg muscles a lot more, these butt muscles. Good. So a breath in and out with the leg lifted, and imagine somebody trying to push it back down again. Lengthen the spine. Lift, squeeze those buttocks. Think about your £10 note. Nobody's having that tenner. Hips are stacked. Give it a quick rub. And then just bring the leg forward into your 90 degrees. So we're going to get more leg work in there. Lengthen the spine, draw the rib cage, zip up. And then you're trying to lift the whole leg, not just the knee. Trying to line it up. Remember, there's a tendency to drop back, so watch for that. Hips stacked. Leg about parallel to the floor. Imagine somebody trying to push that leg back down as you count to 5. And then you lower it. So you lift it. Imagine somebody trying to push it back down. So really squeeze these leg muscles. Be careful of the bottom shoulder. Sometimes that tries to help and then you'll get neck ache. The bottom leg can help, so if you want more work, gently push the bottom leg down as well. Change that. We used to say keep this one relaxed, and you can't, so we might as well use it. If it wants to help, let it. So let it push down a bit as this one lifts, and you're trying to keep that gap. Good. Hopefully these legs are starting to sing at you a bit now. Lift. Squeeze that bum. I'm going to try and push the leg down, and it doesn't want to go. It won't go. No, it won't. Give that leg a nice rub. Good. So that's really going to give some strength down the side of the legs. Important for posture. And then we've got our side plank, so we're working everything. So up on your hands. Bottom leg bent. Top leg straight. Stretch the spine. Remember, do your sways up on your knees if you prefer, or if your shoulder doesn't like this move, but hand under the shoulder. Bottom leg bent into a V, top leg straight, and top arm lift. Get your neck neutral if you can, and you can stay here. Drawing that rib cage away from the floor, holding your posture, or push down into the floor and lift and lower. Now, if this bottom leg is cramping on you, it's doing too much work. This hand and top leg have got to help. So think about using your top foot, the heel of your supporting hand, lifting together. And down. And if you want to do extra, come up to that bridge, reach up through your top hand, squeeze the butt muscles and lift the top leg. And lower yourself down. As this top leg lifts, there is no point getting your leg lifted if your hip's gone down, because there's nothing happening there. Completely waste of time. You've got to keep the hip up. So, technique over vanity. Squeeze the butt, push down through the heel of your hand. Bottom leg is doing more work now. If it's starting to cramp, it's doing too much, so maybe go back to the previous level. Up. And try and do 2 more if we can. I've slid along my mat a bit here. One more. Lovely. Good work. Right, onto your hands and knees. We'll do a bit of stretching after that. So onto your hands and knees. We're going to do child's pose stretches. Again, I'll show you and you decide if it's not for you. So we're going to start with our knees apart. I'm going to reach forward. Then we're going to go to one side, and then we're going to go to the other side. If you've looked at that and thought it's not for my knees today, sit on your bum. Bring one arm over. So you're just getting that side stretch. So that's your option. If what we're going to do next just isn't going to suit your knees. But otherwise, big toes together, knees apart, cushion there if you want to on your feet, so when you sit back you're a bit higher, and sit back against your feet as far as your leg muscles will let you. Keep your arms high to start with, just enjoy that stretch. Then walk your hands forward and try and sink your body down. If your ankles want to cramp, then come back up and ease up and down until they've got used to the stretch. Reaching your fingers a little bit further forward and push your hips back. When you're ready, keeping your back straight, you're going to go over. I'm going over to my left leg because it's the one closest to you. So you're trying to line your chest up with your knee, hands about shoulder distance apart, and you push back. So you're going to get a stretch. In this case, because I've come to the left, I'm getting a stretch down the right side of my body. Push the hips back is going to give you the stretch. Then you come back to centre and you do the same on the side. So I'm going over to my right, keeping my back nice and long. So reaching through the crown of my head, hands about shoulder distance apart, and then I push back. It's right the way down from the arm all the way down to the hip. If you want to develop the stretch further, you go over. So I've come over to the left again. My hands are shoulder distance apart. My right hand is going to come over and sit on my left hand. And then when I ease my hips back, it's a deeper stretch. But again, listen to your body, because you've got to live with it. I haven't. So come over, hand on the top and ease back. You might find that your hips are starting to loosen and you're going a bit lower, but if you're not, if your body's screaming at you that it can't do this stretch, then mermaid stretch, sit up, reach over. You can still push the opposite hip into the floor. You're still getting that nice stretch down the side of your body without your knees falling out with you. Okay. Then we're going to do a little bit of swimming. My kind of swimming. No swimming costume required, no risk of verruca. Perfect. I'm going to do this hands and knees, and again I'll show you. You're going to end up in this position with arm and leg raised in a line. Again, if your knees don't like it, you can do the option of lying down on your mat with your arms extended and opposite arm and leg just lift slightly off the floor. I'd recommend this option for people who are quite bendy, because you've got the floor for a bit of extra stability. Otherwise, hands and knees, hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Now get your weight level. You can't have all your weight back in your knee, in your legs, because you've got to move your legs. So you've got to have some weight in your hands and some weight in your knees. Squeeze your belly up slightly away from the floor and push the floor away slightly with your hands. Okay, now you're going to keep your right hand pushing down into the floor to stabilise your right side, because your right leg is going to slide back. That does not mean your weight moved over to the left. If it did, come back, have another go. Support your weight on this right arm. Okay, without shifting your weight about, you're going to slide your left hand forward. Don't drop into that shoulder square. Your shoulders, pull that left shoulder back, lined up with the right shoulder. Squeeze your bum a little bit and lift the right leg off the floor and lift the left arm to match it. Push down through your right hand, clench your bum. Put your hand and foot back to the floor, come back to your all fours. Same again. So we're going to start with the leg. I know it's tempting just to go, but there's no core strength. I'm not balancing. So push down through the left hand to support your left side so your left foot can slide back. If your left foot's cramping, you're putting too much weight on it. The weight should be through your arm. Slide your right hand forward and pull your right shoulder back in line with your left shoulder. Squeeze your bum, squeeze your belly, and lift your left leg to about hip height. Lift your right arm to match it. Do not drop that belly. Pull it up. Push through the heel of your hand. Right down, back in. And you can do it again. Always start with the arm, because if the arm's not supporting you, where's your weight going to go? Push down through your hand to allow you to slide your foot back. Slide your opposite arm forward and square your shoulders up. Squeeze your belly and your bum and lift your leg up and lift your hand to match. Roughly. Back down. Back in. Now this is going to get you really strong. I know it's frustrating because I'm not letting you fling your arms and legs around. But if you get this move right, you're going to get really strong in the body. So that's what we're here for, isn't it? So push down through the left hand, slide the left leg back. Keep pushing down through the heel of the hand to allow you to bring the right arm forward. Square the shoulders. Squeeze the bum and lift. Of all the moves we do, this is the one that gets done badly, not in my class, but this is the one where people just see arms and legs moving, so they move arms and legs and then complain that they can't feel the benefit of the move. Right, have a little rest, sit back. Then, drum roll please, a few press-ups. I know, so take your hands wide. I'm going to give you 3 levels of press-ups, so don't worry. If the idea of a press-up fills you with dread, we'll be all right. On your knees, take your hands wider than your mat and do a little experiment. When you bend your elbow should be lined up with your wrist. If your elbow is wider than your wrist, if you're in that shape, you're going to put too much pressure on your wrists. Your hands must be wider. Okay. So box to start with. Boxed means basically the knees are directly underneath the hips. Put some weight in your hands and bend your elbows to about 90 degrees. The weight is in your hands, and then you push up till you're straight. Your arms are straight. Try not to try and kiss the floor, because, you know, we've got to be careful, social distancing and all that. You're normally kissing things. If you get your head too low, then all the pressure is between the shoulder blades and the neck. It's not where we want it. We want it across the shoulders. So 90 degrees, push into those hands and push back. That's your first option. For most of you, that's not going to be enough work, and you're going to want to go too low. So your next option is to take your knees back into 3/4 position. So your knees are further back from your hips. Immediately, there's more weight in your arms. Then you bend your elbows to about 90 degrees and you push back up. The weight must be in your arms. If you are letting your hips drop, the weight is in your lower back. So you're pushing the floor away with your arms. Again, I'd rather you do 2 good ones than 10 rubbish ones. Some of you can do full press-ups. For a full press-up, you're going to come to full plank. So you're going to be on the balls of your feet. Straight line through the spine, abdominals tight, shoulders back. You are going to bend the elbows to about 90 degrees and you're going to push back up. Your back does not bend. You bend your arms. Squeeze. You can hold in that press-up position and push back. I'm going to do one more because I'm getting really warm today. You're going to bend and push. And then you're going to sit back. Feel free to do more. I've gone really warm. I think the heating's come on. Sit back. Lovely. Then we're going to lie on your back. Come down onto your back. Have a quick drink, Sharon. Okay. So that worked the front. Now we're going to work the back. We've got to keep balanced. So a bit of hip lifting. Now lying on your back, you don't want anything underneath your head for this one. Reason is when we come up, you can cut your airway off if there's something underneath your head. So your head's flat to the floor. If you've now got a cushion waving around, you can put it between your knees to help you work on your leg strength if you want. Heels level with the bum. No. Heels close to bum. Shoulders back and down. Clench your bum muscles a couple of times on this. Remember, this isn't a pelvic tilt. If you tilt the pelvis, we get in the lower back involved and we don't want to in a hip lift. So neutral spine, clench and release your bum muscles and make sure that this pelvis does not tip backwards as you do it. When you're happy with that, arms down by your side, they can help to start with. So you squeeze your bum and you lift your hips and you push through your legs, lengthen the spine and squeeze your bum. And lower yourself down. Sometimes when we start to go up, rather than go up, we go along. So we end up running out of mat. To stop that, imagine your hands tied to your feet. So as you go up, you cannot slide because your arms can't slide. So put a little bit more weight into your shoulders and keep them still. So you are trying to get a stretch in the hip flexors here. Keep your weight on your shoulders, squeeze your bum and lift. If you're getting cramp in the back of the legs, your feet are too far away and you're activating the hamstrings too much. So bring your feet in a little bit closer. It might just be that you need to take your socks off, your feet are sliding. So use your arms and legs to help you. So clench the bum and lift. Weight a little bit more into the shoulders maybe. Stretch through the legs and squeeze the butt muscles. Now, see if you can stay there without your arms helping. So stay up in your bridge, lift your arms up and back. If you're feeling it in your lower back, you might have tilted your pelvis one way or the other. Come back down and try and get it neutral again. So come back to the ceiling. As your bum goes to the floor, push your arms into the mat. So this spine stays neutral all the time. So you squeeze your butt, lift up, lengthen through the thigh muscles, because this is all about using the bum muscles and the spine, this move. Arms up and back. Little work through the legs. If your knees have widened, then the leg muscles are switched off. So bring the legs to hip distance. Push down through the air with your arms, and that will activate your arms a bit more. Lift, up and back with the arms. Up and down. Anything's easier than press-ups. Come on, let's do another one. Lift. I've been doing 3/4 press-ups in all the circuit classes. That came as a bit of a shock, doing a full press-up. And then bring your knees into your chest again. I'm going to have to do a bit more of that. Now, this is a nice stretch. Again, don't yank on the legs, just staying still. Just releases the pressure from the lower back, and you can stay here. But for some of you, I'm going to show you the roll-up, just to remind you. Any osteoporosis in the spine, any slip discs, you don't do it. But you don't need me to tell you that. But otherwise, you're holding the legs. Let the legs push forward and allow them to sit you up. Hold the legs close, tuck your tailbone under, so you've got a nice C shape in your spine, chin tucked in. Start to roll your weight back and then roll into the ball. Little trick with this one, sometimes we kind of get sort of this shape, oh that's embarrassing, now what do? Tuck your chin in, bring the legs a little bit closer, push forward with your legs, and because they're heavier, they'll bring you up. Sometimes you think you're going to carry on. So tuck in, sit, tuck your tailbone under, roll and roll. If you don't like it, if it doesn't suit your back, if your floor's too hard, just stay lying still. I'm going to add a little bit of a V-sit on at the end if you want to. So you tuck in, you roll back, you roll up, you stop on your sitting bones, and you sit up into your V shape. So you straighten the spine, puff your chest out, bring your calves parallel to the floor, let go if you can, squeeze those abs tight, hold back onto the legs, draw them in, round the spine and roll back. Stop on your sitting bones, sit up, lift the torso, legs parallel to the floor, straighten your arms, keep your chest lifted, hands back on the legs, tuck in, roll back. One more, stop on the sitting bones, sit up, right arm, left arm, stay up, hands on the back of the legs, curl the spine, roll back and stay back, good. Feet on the floor, sit yourselves up, either hands underneath you, push yourself up or roll onto one side if it suits you. Bring yourself up, grab a drink, standing to finish. Right, do a little bit of more work for the side muscles today, standing up. So have your feet comfortable distance apart because your weight's going to go from side to side, so you don't want to topple over. Spread your toes out, wiggle your toes around a little bit, wake them up, shoulders back and down. Now you're going to slide one hand down your leg, but you're going to keep your shoulders square. If your shoulder lets you, the opposite arm's going to come over your head. And you're reaching. Sink some more weight through this supporting leg. The hand that's sliding down your leg, turn it round and bring it up, make your beach ball. Keep your chest facing the wall in front of you and pull yourself up. Reset the shoulders. And do it again, then slide the hand down the leg, reach over the head with the other arm. Press down through your feet for stability and make sure your chest is square onto the wall in front. Bottom hand turns round and comes up as if you're holding a beach ball. Pull your belly in and pull yourself up. Once more, over. Remember, we're not dropping the opposite shoulder down, we're going to keep the chest facing forwards. Press down through the supporting leg. Turn the bottom hand and bring it up. And pull up. Last one, over. I like this one, it activates the legs and the side and the arms all at the same time. Keep your arms lifted and turn side on now. Arms are lifted, shoulders are back and down. I want you to reach up through your head, press down through your feet and feel your body stretch out. Relax your neck and your shoulders. reach up. If you can, let your weight rock gently on your feet. It's difficult with your arms lifted. Just rocking a little bit, so we're switching on the lower leg muscles. Try not to sit back in your hips. We're not doing a squat. You're just trying to lift your toes without sitting your hips back. So you're activating the lower legs. And then come up onto the balls of your feet. Spread your toes, stretch the toes out. Feel your calf muscles working now. Really reach up through your head. Bring your heels down. Bring your arms down to that level with your shoulders, and then sit back into the swing. So let your arms swing back and you slip back into your ski position. Drive through your legs, reach up, and if your back lets you, little back bend here. Sitting down. Sweeping the arms back, bringing the hands a little bit closer if they'll let you. Push through the legs, reach up and back. Squeeze the bum for stability. Relax the neck. And again, sit down, sweep back with the arms, drive up and back. Good. A little bit more back stretching. So hands in the back pockets, shoulders back and down. Puff your chest forward and up. And relax. So pull back, lifting your torso. Hands are supporting into your back pockets just to support the back of the hips and give you a bit more stretch up. Pull back and stretch. If your shoulders let you, clasp your hands together, and as you pull your shoulders back and down, push your hands down to the floor. Just to get a little bit deeper stretch. But again, if your shoulders don't like it, keep the hands in your back pocket. So you're punching down with your arms as you punch up with your chest. One more. Pull back, lift your chest. And relax. Roll the shoulders. Good. Nice roll to finish. Roll in the back. Good. Check the light fitting. Make it a circle if you want to. Right, that's my cue to let you go and do something else. So finish your circling. You're done. That's another one done. Thank you very much. Lovely to hear all your comments. Feel free to drop me a WhatsApp, text, carrier pigeon, just to let me know how you're doing. It's nice to hear from you all. Take care. Bye bye.